Hi, I'm Kyle Haynes from German Village Magazine, and today we are interviewing Christy Farnbauch. She is the executive director of the Contemporary Theater of Ohio. So, Christy, tell us about your background in the arts and your history.
Yeah, thanks for having me today, Kyle.
Absolutely.
This is really fun. I have been in the Columbus art scene for 30-ish years. I got a degree at Otterbein in music and business, and did a internship with the Columbus Symphony as I was already graduate, and realized there was this world of arts administration that existed out there. And have done a host of things. I've worked for nonprofit organizations, large and small, in the arts and not in the arts. Worked for a large public funder for a while. Did some time with Hilliard Schools, a large public, suburban school district. Before I came to the Contemporary, I was at NABO, the National Association of Women Business Owners, working with women entrepreneurs, which was great work. And then found myself back here. And the fun fact, someday I'll stop telling this story, but I took this job. Accepted it on Friday, March 13th of 2020, about noon, and by 4 o'clock the theaters were closing for what we thought would just be a couple of weeks, remember? Just a short time. And went on from there. I started in April, and of course everything had been shut down. But for me, coming back to what was CATCO at the time, and now the Contemporary Theater of Ohio, was kind of like a full circle moment. I had done audio description for people with limited sight or visual disabilities in the early 90s. And then we subscribed as a family. I took my boys to see Phoenix Theater for Children for 10 years and came to CATCO shows as an adult. And so it felt like a whole full circle moment and exactly where I should be. Now, I didn't anticipate a pandemic.
Right.
That was a whole nother kettle of fish.
Do that, yeah.
And I've learned a lot of things in the last 3.5 years. But that's really how I got here. It just felt like the next place I should be.
That's fantastic. So it was CATCO, but now it's the Contemporary Theater of Ohio. And I think that happened in 2023. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, it did. The official name change happened in May of 2023, but that was the culmination of nearly 2 years of work. So when I came, as I was going through the interview process, I always thought CATCO stood for, and it did in the very early days, Contemporary American Theater Company. And then the board at that time decided that was a long name, and maybe they'd want to do British plays or other kinds of things. So they shortened it to CATCO, which it was for many years.
Yes.
And if you knew, you knew CATCO.
Right.
A lot of people did, but coming out of the pandemic, a lot of people didn't know, and things had changed. I was new in April of 2020. Our artistic director Lita Hoffman came in August of 2020, and so we set about really for about 18 months. We worked with a fabulous consultant to help us figure out what is our purpose and what's our vision and why do we matter. And we had to get beyond, well, we're the oldest and the biggest. Like that was just wasn't gonna fly for very long. So we worked really hard on that vision and purpose. And then after we, then we needed to take it into a visual identity. And what would that look like? What would the new brand, the new colors, and a potential new logo? And it was really that marketing firm called Nonfiction up in Worthington who said, maybe you want to change your name. And so we had another 6 months of work around that, and what would that name be, and what would that look like? And we settled on, we really wanted contemporary and theater back in our name. So we were really clear about what we do and who, where we are and why it matters. And then the Of Ohio piece came about to really just plant a flag. We're in the state capitol, right here in the center of the state. And that is really our vision, is to be the contemporary theater for the state and the region. And we were already kind of shortening to the contemporary, and we think in time that's where it will land, but we do refer to ourselves as the contemporary.
Yes. And I think you do shows about it's this moment and then related to Ohio types. Is that your...
Yeah, current. So we're a professional regional theater, and of course, like we intend to grow. That's the plan, right? And so our purpose is about storytelling that relates to the current moment, to build a community of empathy. So we hope that when you see one of our shows, that you'll have fun and you'll laugh and you might cry, but mostly that you'll step into somebody else's shoes and see something through a different perspective or through a different lens, right? And have empathy for a character, or and then there might be action. Like you might go home and call your grandma because you haven't talked to her for a long time. Or you might, this last play was about best friends. You might call your best friend and have a conversation. Or you might get involved in gender, helping gender pay equity be better, right? So, but all through, we're really conscious about, we're telling stories in a way that people can find themselves in them, whether that's through laughter. It's usually through laughter, right? Usually the best way into a big hairy issue is laughter. But to kind of all those emotions and in that communal experience in the theater together, which I hope people are missing after the years we had to stay home. I hope they're ready to get back together.
Absolutely. So German Village residents are really interested in the arts, all sorts of types of arts and restaurants. Tell us about the Columbus community and how some of them participate in your theater productions.
Yeah, for sure. So I think what a lot of people don't know, Kyle, is we employ more than 100 local creative workers a year. So on our shows, everything from designers, directors, actors, technicians. On a show, it's not uncommon to have 30 people working on a particular show, right? So we are contributing to the downtown and contributing to the economy. I've made some connections with some of the restaurants here on High Street who tell me, they kill it on a theater night. When the theaters are full,
oh, that's great.
Their business is booming, right? And so it's that symbiotic community relationship, right? And same, even people could come to dinner in German Village. It's not that far, right?
Right, absolutely,
And I think what a lot of people don't know is here in the Ripe Center where we're sitting today, the parking garage has free parking.
Wow.
Every evening after 6 and all day Saturday and Sunday.
Wow.
So we're kind of the best deal in town for parking.
That is fantastic.
Come see a show, come park, have dinner at one of the local restaurants close by, and then come see a show.
Yes, right? Absolutely.
Many of our shows this season, actually, too, are 90 minutes long. So it's a lovely little evening to have dinner and come see a show.
It does sound really lovely. So what are your shows that are coming up this particular season?
Yeah. So we just closed a show on Sunday. So next up is A Christmas Carol. And it's a Christmas Carol like you maybe have never seen before. It's a one-woman version of A Christmas Carol by Angela Iannone, who's a fabulous actor who's been all over the country and maybe the world. But she's based here in Columbus. She grew up here. She's from here. She went to college at Wright State, has been all over the world, and found herself back in Central Ohio during the pandemic, and is now based here and traveling the world from here. But Angela is a phenomenal actor. And so she's going to tell the story the way Dickens told the story in 1867 when he toured the country telling this story, what we think is probably America's favorite ghost story, right?
Yeah,
The Christmas Carol.
absolutely.
In a very intimate setting in Studio 2, which is the theater right next door to us. In a very intimate, small setting, just you and the actor in the story. So it'll be a really interesting experience, like you haven't seen.
I'll definitely
before.
go see it. Yeah.
We open December 14th and we run through December 23rd. Tickets are available, and again, it's about an hour-long production. So you can have dinner before or after. You might go see the lights on the Commons. You might go down to State Auto and see the nativity, set up. It'll just be a lovely holiday evening, and people just love. I think people love Christmas Carol. It's just a holiday tradition to get things kicked off, right? After that, in late January, we're going to do a show called The Worries of Wesley, which is a world premiere. It's a brand new play. It's a play that we did a reading of a year ago about helping children cope with anxiety. And the feedback we got on the reading was, oh my goodness, our community needs this play right now. We know that anxiety and children's mental health is kind of at a tipping point in the community. So again, very relevant for current times. Again, an hour long production. We say it's good for children 8 and up and their families.
Right,
so probably 8 to 13, kind of that elementary middle school age. we have some support from PNC Arts Alive to actually do a broadcast recording of the show, broadcast quality recording of the show, and we're in conversation with Nationwide Children's Hospital about some resources and discussion guide.
Nice, yes.
So that we'll do 8 performances late January, early February, and then for a while, this video will be available at no cost to the community to extend the conversation, extend the play. So again, a real
Sounds
relevant
very-
community
yes.
related piece. Super excited about that. And then we head back into our main stage plays in March, a show called mid-February to mid-March, a show called Skeleton Crew, which is about the friendships that are made in the break room of a closing auto plant in Detroit.
Oh, nice.
And again, who could have predicted that the UAW would have just been on strike when we played? We planned this show a year ago. So again, very relevant labor. We're actually with some support from the Ohio Humanities. We're going to screen a film called The Last Truck, which is a documentary made here in Ohio by Ohio Playwrights about the closing of a GM plant down by Cincinnati. And so a couple of weeks prior to when we open our show, we'll have a community forum around labor and auto workers and whatnot in the community, and then open our show.
Great.
So again, very relevant to Ohio and Central Ohio. And then we'll finish out the season in May with a musical. We love musicals.
Yes.
And everybody loves a good musical, right? Called Ride the Cyclone. And this is a fun, quirky, hilarious, and dark musical about several members of a high school choir who go to an amusement park, and there's a roller coaster accident, and the students are killed, and they meet the great Karnak, who's the mechanical genie, in the bottle kind of thing.
In the afterworld.
In the afterworld, and Karnak tells them that one of them can come back. One of them can be brought back to life and relive. And so then they go about, each one of them kind of has, each character has a song, and they talk about why they should, get to
live
come back
Earth,
and live longer. And it's wildly funny, and again, kind of has this little message to it. And it's very popular among young people. It's got quite a following on TikTok.
Great.
And the thinking is it's about making your life count. I don't know if you've heard that phrase about, you're born and you die, and what do you do in the middle? What do you do with the dash? It's about what do you do with the dash, right? And
Right.
how do you whether your life is long or short, how do you leave a meaningful impact?
Well, that sounds like a very interesting and a fun show to watch.
Yeah, and it's musical. So there you go.
Yeah.
So that's our season, and then somewhere in the spring we'll announce the 24-25 season, which will be our 40th season. It's humbling to think that the company's been around 40 years, but it has. It started in 1985. So
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
So how do people buy tickets?
yeah, so go to our website, thecontemporaryohio.org, and there you can find more information about the shows. We produce trailers of the shows. At some point we'll introduce you to the cast, right? Just all kinds of information on our website. And then tickets, you can purchase your tickets through cbusarts.com. We use Kappa for ticketing, so you can call the CBus Arts ticket office. But again, thecontemporaryohio.org.
Great. Thank you so much, Christy, for telling us about the Contemporary Theater of Ohio and what's going on with everything. It's been fabulous to talk with you.
Thank you, Kyle. Thanks for doing this little story. We appreciate it.
Yes.